All right, in this lesson, we are going to be looking at adding and subtracting within thousands as we learn how to compose and decompose numbers. This lesson is a third grade mathematics lesson by Christy Glandon. During this lesson, we will be looking at 3.NBT, point A, point 2, and we're going to discover how to fluently add and subtract within 1,000s using strategies and algorithms based on place value, properties of operation, and or relationships between addition and subtraction. Students will be able to discover how they can use place values to understand properties of operation to perform multi-digit arithmetic. They will also be able to demonstrate proficiency with place value and have a strong understanding of number sense. And they will be able to display that they understand this lesson when they can fluently compose and decompose numbers within the thousands. So here's some essential questions that we can ask. How does decomposing a number make it easier to add? And how does place value help you decompose a number? So the first thing that we would look at would be the expanded form. And students need to learn to compose and decompose numbers into hundreds places. They move from standard form to expanded form and then back again. Students explore composing and decomposing numbers using the base 10 blocks and place value. As a pre-assessment, I would have the students have 5 minutes to write down 10 creative ways to make 101. And students should be able to include more facts than just 1 plus 1. So that's part of their pre-assessment. And I believe that if used the right way, assessments can allow teachers to see what students are or are not understanding, but only if we take the time to notice. So the pre-assessment is important for us to be able to sit back and look and see where our students are and where we need them to be going. So the first thing that we would be looking at is composing and decomposing numbers. Decomposing a number just simply means to break it apart into smaller parts. Decomposing a number can make it easier to find the sums and differences. So what we would do first is review a lesson that shows the value of digits. So we will look at our place value chart, and the value of a digit depends upon its position in a number. As their guided practice, the students will have 3 different examples that they would work with a pair or with their partner. The first one would be looking at the number 1,486 and the number 320. Students will be able to compose numbers in the expanded form. I will display an anchor chart for expanded form to aid students who are still trying to understand the concept. The teacher will pair students to work together, and they will turn and discuss the importance of having that digit and the value of having it lined up the correct way. I will ask students to write the number 1,486 in expanded form and let one student write the hundreds and the other one would write the thousands and the 10. And as I circulate, the students will be able to write the number 320 in expanded form. Some important questions to ask is, where have we possibly seen something like this before? Where would we start adding? And what would happen if we line up the thousands place with the hundreds place in the wrong value? That would be strategy 1. Strategy 2 would be the base 10 blocks. And students would still be organized in pairs, and I would hand out a base 10 block manipulatives. Students will be able to model the number 225 using the fewest base type 10 blocks required. And it would also be important for me to remind my students that a flat represents 100, a rod represents 10, and a unit represents 1. During stage strategy 2, students will be able to come before the class and have an interactive website and so they can display their answer. And they will have different strategies to be able to show their understanding and their mathematical concepts, including addition, subtraction, number sense, place value, and counting. In here on strategy 3, students will be able to complete mental math and jump tens. I will be able to write the numbers 75 and 45 on the smartboard, and the students will have 2 minutes to compose the numbers mentally. They will give a thumbs up when they think they know the answer, and they will be able to work with a partner, and they have to use common vocabulary to describe these strategies. I will listen for mathematic discourse and monitor their understanding. And with the jump tens, students will be able to use a number line where they can visualize the numbers as they jump by tens and then add the ones at the end. When the students have completed these problems, they will reflect and share, and we will be able to share strategies in which was the easiest for them to use. We can discuss the pros and cons of each strategy and when would be the best time to use them. Students will then be able to use the Marzano scale of self-assessment, and during this time, they will be able to show me the fingers of their understanding. 1 would mean they don't understand the concept at all and they need help. The number 2 will shows that they kind of get it and they still need a little help. If they hold up a 3, that means they understand it or they got it. And number 4 means I got it and I can teach it or tell it to a friend. My goal as a teacher would be for all my students to get to a number 4. So this self-assessment will be beneficial in me to be able to see if my students understand the concept. During independent practice, my students will create a flip book that will help them as they compose and decompose several multi-digit numbers. This will provide each student will be provided with 5 problems that they have to incorporate into their flip book. I will be able to differentiate the student experience by giving different problems and methods for each student to use. They will be allowed to use the base 10 blocks, they can draw pictures, or use a number line as long as they show the answer to the following questions. Number 1, Eli received a $20 bill for his birthday. He bought 6 cars for $2 each. How much money does Eli have? Students can use this as they draw a picture, use a base 10, or be able to use the number line. The second one, Hannah invited 10 of her friends over to make s'mores in the backyard. Hannah gave each of her friends 2 marshmallows. She had 4 marshmallows for herself. How many marshmallows did they have altogether? Ava and Bailey's mother told her daughters that they could swim in the pool for 30 minutes. First, they swam laps in the pool for 7 minutes. Then they swam underwater for 1 minute. Then they played water polo for 18 minutes. How much longer can they stay in the pool? Their fourth question is, Madison is reading a book that has 232 pages in it. She read 42 pages over the weekend. Then she read 30 more pages on Monday night. How many pages does Madison have left to read? And the last question is, Stephen bought 2 boxes of football cards. One box had 24 cards in it. The other box had 36 cards in it. He then gave 18 of his cards to his friend. How many cards did Stephen have left? These questions will be able to deepen the understanding that students have. However, in our closure, students will have to share their answers and strategies with the class. We will discuss the importance of taking care of their flip books and how helpful that they will be as they learn to decompose even larger digits. So, before the students leave, they will need to complete an exit ticket to show their understanding of the instruction area and what needs extra attention. Students will be able to list 2 facts that they learned and questions that they may still have. As students place these exit slips into their pockets, they will be able to move to the next learning station. At the end of the day, I can take these exit slips and be able to assess my students' understanding and maybe where I need to reteach a concept or if we are ready to move on to larger digit numbers. And lastly, I will give a summative assessment at the end of our lesson, probably the end of the unit, to show the Common Core standards that our students have. This will be for a grade, and it will determine the understanding of multi-digit numbers and rounding.